So hey everybody, I'm Cat Paterson of straighttalkingginger.com and I'm a partner in crime to gutsy business owners. And the one thing I love is to help people 60 proof their business and their income, and that means creating multiple wealth streams. And what we're looking at today is branded books. And part of branded books community is now these little interviews with amazing people in my community, and we're going to call it branded books blethers, which is quite difficult to say, I have discovered. And today I've got the lovely Juls with me, and she is amazing. She's been in our community now for about 10 months, can you believe it or not? One of our early adopters, one of my early founders, so thank you for that, Jules. And it's been, yeah, we're just going to have a little conversation about her journey so far in branded books and find out a little bit more about her and her business. So welcome, Jules, to Branded Books Blethers.
Yeah, well, took us that twice.
I know. I'm so glad we're not doing this over a glass of wine. It could go terribly wrong at this point. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Yes, I'm a graphic designer. I specialise in brand design and brand strategy. I work with mainly small businesses, solo entrepreneurs, creative businesses especially, and essentially love bringing brands to life. Not everyone realises that the logo is not their brand, and I'm here to educate them. There's so much more that encompasses their business, and it's a real passion of mine that everyone should have a brand they love and be proud to show off, because it gives them more confidence with their business. Lots of people hide away and are afraid to show their face, or afraid to hand over their business card or direct somebody to their website because they're actually quite embarrassed at what it looks like. And often underneath they have amazing services or products that are not showing off their full potential. So my job is to brand that for them and make it amazing and give them more confidence to go off it into the world.
Love it, and that's the point, folks. It's really, you know, we can think it's just our logo, and it's really not. It's
No.
a whole lot more than that. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Jules in real life, you know, in Glasgow out for a coffee, and it's mind blowing. Actually, you can, I think when you start in business, you think it's just, I need a logo, and actually it's just so much more than that. So thank you for that, and yeah, please go and check Jules out when you get a moment. So what brought you to branded books?
I think it was actually a chance meeting with you at a networking event.
Yeah, so it was.
And when I think back now, I'm not going to be all kind of woo-woo and stuff, but I do believe there's fate and paths, and there's certain things happen at certain times. And we were just chatting, and I think it was around those, like, it was quite an informal one. It was just a small group of people, I think about 8 or 10, and we're talking about what we did. And I remember you started to talk, and you said you do branded books, and you had one of your books with you, and I'd already kind of spotted it, and in my head I just thought, I need to have a chat with you. This is so up my street. One, I'm a complete stationery addict. I have so many notebooks. I have notebooks that I haven't even written in because they're too beautiful to write in, or I buy them because they're in one of my brand colours and I just want them sitting on my desk. And I also am one of those people who I have different notebooks for different thought stream subjects that I have, and like doodles and client work and ideas and inspiration, and they're very much categorized. And I know a lot of people are the same, and I know a lot of people love stationery, and I immediately, it was like an explosion in my head went off. I just thought there is so many possibilities for me as a designer of what I could possibly do here. So I think I very quickly commandeered you in conversation to find out more. And I think it was the next day I bought your course, and actually that night I think published my first, I literally did do your course, create my first book and get it published, and like over the weekend I think I did 3 or 4 in kind of quick succession to see how it went. Then I remember I hadn't even probably thought about how to market it in like that, and you go into the KDP and you check if you've any sales and stuff, didn't have any, and then I was sitting at my desk working, and I happened to go in and check at lunchtime, and I had 2 sales, and I was like, jumped up and down, oh, I've got 2 sales, oh, that's amazing. And then my dad popped over to walk the dog, and I was like, Dad, guess what, sold a notebook. And he went, have you? That's it. I know. And I went, how do you know? Are we talking to Mum? And he went, no, your mum bought them. And I went, oh.
But it's a bit of a bubble pop, isn't it? You want a complete stranger, but I can
Yeah.
assure you there's nothing like getting that first sale and seeing,
Yeah.
and let's be clear, it's only royalties. They're small amounts. You're not getting the full cost because Amazon are really the printers and the sellers. But
Yeah.
when you get that first sale under your belt, boy, what it feels like a proud mother moment, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you need to have a certificate on the wall. But yeah, I feel as if I'm kind of gathering up all the stationery addicts in the world and I'm kind of hoarding them into my community, because like you said, what I love about that is you got hooked like that, and
Yes.
you're into graphic design already. That's what you do, and I can assure you the books that Jules has produced are just delicious. They are absolutely gorgeous, and what I love about it is I don't have a creative bone in my body. So I can still play about with Canva and I can still make great sales from it, but I'm inspired by people like Jules, because in the community what we do is we have that little option to kind of share our books and share our ideas, and we learn from one another. So no plagiarism, no copycatting, but be inspired by other people. So can you remember back, and this is maybe a tough question, can you remember back how quickly you made back your investment of that kind of first little cost to get through?
Yeah, I think in the first month, to be honest,
Wow. Okay.
because I find what the added bonus I find for me as a creative person is actually when I'm stuck with a project, or I might not be quite in the right frame of mind to work on a client project, I'll
Sure.
go off and design a book.
Right,
And
okay.
actually, sometimes what I find, and it's like, it must be the way that the brain works, I like that. Sometimes I go and walk my dog, and often I walk my dog and listen to a podcast, and I'll get ideas, and my husband laughs at me because I'm writing notes in my phone as I'm walking back in the door because I've thought of an idea. And it's the same with doing the books. If I stop thinking about a project and go off and do something that's personal for me, it doesn't feel like work. It feels fun. I'm still being creative. Potentially got like the chance to make some money out of it if other people like it too. And I had the added bonus of, I don't have a huge following on Instagram at all, but I do have a few followers. So I had an avenue already to
Sure.
promote my books on. And I've actually been surprised sometimes at the people that I've found out who have bought them. So it might be somebody who I've never actually met in real life or spoken to, but they've then like posted, I've bought one of your books because they've seen me post about
Yeah.
it. And then that feels even more privileged and special that somebody's done that. Or then you find out like somebody in my day job and who works in my team have bought one. So I think I kind of made a lot very quickly. So I got quite a lot up straight away, but it then my problem is reining myself in, and I go off in tangents. I'll start like, that's my problem just now. Actually, I've not actually created any new books since December. Would you believe?
Okay.
I just actually haven't had time because it is very much a sideline, and my business has been very luckily very busy. But I've got a list of what I'm wanting to create, and I just started off with the notebooks first. Then I started thinking, well, I love a notebook with a bit of detail inside, so I started adding design elements to the inside pages rather than just plain lines. And then I thought, right, I'll start doing...
It makes it stand out. It makes you retain, and that, I think that's what I love about it. You can dip in and out. So like you, I've not made books for ages because I'm so caught up in teaching everybody else how to make books, which is just pure joy as well, watching everybody else getting that kind of spark of imagination and what's possible. But you're absolutely right, get the basics down, understand what you're doing, and then start to have a play and make your interiors more standout, more useful or different, something quirky. And I mean, there's one of the books I think you'd put up, it was either one with the dog or the cat on the front of it, and then inside just those simple little kind of iconic type dog or cat faces. That's enough to just sometimes make it come alive and do something different.
Yes, exactly. And I think this probably looks back to when I was younger, and I used to get the books with the wee details inside, and I love that. And and I wanted mine to have that little bit of individuality in it as well. And then I started going on to the planners and things because I've had so many planners but could never find one exactly that I would
So,
use to fill all the space. And it's so liberating being able to just create your own one. And sometimes I just do it for me personally, and then you find that actually I like it. Or now I find I get people messaging me saying, I've always wanted to have a planner that does this, or something that does that, or a cover like that. So I've ended up designing things that I know they'll buy, but might also suit other people as well.
yeah, and this is one of the things that I always encourage in the group. It's like, you know, of course you're going to make things for yourself. Of course, that's kind of a good place to start. But also ask people, and you know, you might only have 2 people in your Doug on your Instagram profile, but it doesn't matter. Just ask people, you know, if I made this, would you be interested? One of the first planners I ever kind of dabbled in, you know, I said, would people like this cover or this cover? And it was actually Secret Door number 3 where they said, actually, Kat, could you make it in this colour with this kind of look? And then we'll buy it. I'm like, no problem. And you know, that's an easy sale because you get people asking you what they want, and there's a teaser about it to say I'm going to create it. But also if you're really into maybe even you know, if you really want to get into proper kind of planners with lovely ring binders and elastics and tabs, what a great way to prototype something, to test out an interior that doesn't really cost you anything, but then you've got a ready-made product that you can go and get it, you know, beautifully made and a hardcover if you want it, because we know that Amazon's a bit limited. You can still do amazing things with it, but I love that just the only limits your imagination, and you can use it however you kind of want to do it. So what do you love about branded books? What's the thing that really stands out for you that you've kind of learned and you've done and you're making your books? What's the thing that you love most about it?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is actually added that something special for me with my brand clients, because now what I do is I create, I'll do a new client welcome pack. Just as a little thank you when I take on a new client, and now I've been able to create these beautiful books that are branded for me but sent out to my clients, and they love the feedback I get from these. Are amazing. Now there's always like, oh my god, these are beautiful, or I get the how do I make these for my business now? Then I'm like, well actually there's a lady you can learn from, and I think I must have, yes, I think I've referred quite a few people to you already. And it's just a potential for business wise for me actually, and it's just that element of the experience of me again being a little bit different and doing something. I like to be, I have to be different, I have to be individual. That's just my makeup. Now I can't do the same as everyone else, but it's the I think the ones I sell, the generic ones I sell are a bonus, but essentially for me I wanted to do it for my business because I'd looked into getting branded notebooks done before, and the print one is so expensive because you have to order a minimum quantity, and I'm not somebody who has clients in and out the door every week now, so it's just a minimum number, so I needed something that I could order in small quantities, and this was the perfect way because there's no upfront costs. It doesn't cost you anything to produce one and publish it. If it sells, brilliant.
Thank you for saying that, because people genuinely don't believe me.
No, yes.
They're like, no, Kat, there's hidden costs. I'm like, there's really not. There's no upfront investment apart from your time. That's it to create something. It's your time, but there's no capital investment, as you say. It's all printed when you need it, so you can order one copy or you can order 150 copies, whatever you need.
Yeah, no, definitely. So that's the biggest thing for me, because you have books that you think are going to do amazing, you publish them, you love them. They're not the ones that sell. It's the ones you chuck together in 5 minutes that you don't actually really like, that you've done for somebody else's taste. Then you start thinking, is it my taste? It's rubbish.
I know, it's quite eye-opening and reflective sometimes, isn't it? You're thinking, why is that selling? Yeah, but I always say to people, if you'd caught that unicorn trend, imagine, you know, I'm really not into unicorns or anything, but imagine if you'd caught that trend and you know, you'd have been selling loads, and that's what I encourage people to do. It's like you're going to make things that you love, but you're also going to make things that actually are nothing to do with you, not your taste at all, and they'll sell like nobody's business. And yeah, it's quite interesting. So if that's the thing that you love, what's been most difficult, if anything?
it's just time for me. I have so many ideas and I have so many things I want to do. And it's just finding the time to do them. Getting a new puppy a few months ago doesn't really help with my time at the moment. But I have a family. I still have a day job. I have a business. There's only so much time I can dedicate to the books. And no matter how much I want to, I did find, I suppose what was quite good was when I first started like 10 months ago, my business wasn't as busy. So this kind of gave me that feeling of I'm moving forward, I'm progressing. And I'm very much interested, and especially now with what's happening in the world right now, is finding different income streams. And as you know, that's what you very much advocate, and it's something that's seriously making me think. And now actually my mindset is probably changing now. I kind of have quite a few books up. So I'm quite content with what I've got there. Now I'm starting to think about what can I do that's not, I think they call it low content, which is journals, planners, or books. I'm thinking of what can I do that's got a bit more actual, like a proper book.
Yeah.
And I never ever thought I would ever publish a proper book or could say I'm an author. But again, it's linked to my business. So and I have 3 books that I've started and developing that I hope to bring in, and they're taking me weeks to produce rather than a couple of nights, but they will be much more substantial once they're published. And
part of your business, then they're a kind of fundamental, selling point really for people who are working with you or find you. So yeah, I love that transition from, I started at the beginning of my blind jotters, and now I can see the potential of, I'm just going to make a book.
Yeah, I know.
In 10 months. So it didn't happen overnight, but it's like,
No.
wait a minute, the possibilities. And isn't it interesting when you're at different points in your business, depending on, as you say, the time that you've got, the commitments that you've got, and how you're thinking about it and how you move the needle in your business. That sounds like quite an exciting place to be.
Yes, because I'm actually desperate to get the books done, but I'm committed to client projects, and that's what brings in the money now. So you do what brings in now, but in the back, and I think that's why I constantly have notebooks with me, because I think my idea, right, I need to put that in as a chapter, I'll do this, do that. And actually though, one of the books is going to be part of a much bigger part of my business. I'm trying to not move away from one-to-one client work, but there's only so many clients I can take on before I'm full. Yeah. So then I'm having to think of other ways I can, and also not everyone is in a place in their business right now to work one-to-one with a designer, and that's what I'm realising as well. So I have over 20 years of brand experience behind me. I have a lot of knowledge. So I'm trying to have different ways and different points people can work with me, and it can be, they can buy my book hopefully eventually, or they can, I'm developing a course, but again, I'm going to include a workbook, which I'll get now published through the published as part of the course. Yeah. And I think that'll be lovely, because how many times have you downloaded a PDF from a course and never looked at it, or you can't find it, or you forget what the email was even called? I've done it myself. I was trying to find an email I signed up to a year ago and I couldn't remember the person's name. Whereas if you get an actual book that you fill out as you do the course, you'll keep it. So that's kind of in my head.
As you say, that's what I'm all about, is helping people to think that way of, if people can't, it's not within their budget to work with you in a certain way, then what a lovely way to say, well, in the meantime, I've created this lovely resource and book for you, which is at a lower accessible price point. Then they get a feel for what it's like to work with you. I did the same. I think I talked in the group maybe about a year ago now. I sold a course. It was cybersecurity. It sold very well online, but then I turned it into an Amazon KDP book, 10 lessons.
Yeah.
And it's literally just words moved from online version, which is kind of back to front. Everybody says, oh, put your business online. Well, of course. But if you've got a marketplace like Amazon with, as I was talking yesterday, 197 million users daily, which has probably only gone up because of the current context with our credit cards on file, why would you not direct them to, like, if we don't work just now together, why don't you check out my book? And you can direct people back and they get a flavour of it. So what a lovely way, plus you get paid for the privilege. So you've taken time to create your book, but then it's done and it's up for sale. And you don't have to create it again. You can update it at some point, but it's sitting.
Well, that's I love as well. if you publish something and it's in hard print, that's it. You can't correct a mistake. The good thing about the books on Amazon is if somebody can let you go and, by the way, you've got a mistake in page 10 that you've missed, right? Which happens to us all.
Yep.
Yep. Then you can go in and you can fix it and re-upload it, and then anyone who buys that book afterwards has a new version. I think that's an amazing like thing in the house. So that's a lifesaver.
It is actually, it's a really good point, because I've found a typo recently in one of my journals. I'm thinking, really need to get that updated. But you know, it's like anything, as you say, if you were using traditional printing houses, you couldn't do that, but you would have paid for the proofreaders and the copywriters and everything else.
Yes.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of flexibility. So I know that you did some Christmas fairs. So for the people who kind of haven't been in the group as long and know about that, Jules did some Christmas fairs, which really intrigued me, because I've not printed books and done anything like that. So can you tell us a little bit about what that involved and what it uncovered for you as you kind of took on the fairs?
Again, it was a kind of, I come up with an idea and I find myself right end off the cliff. And what I quickly found, actually, when I was starting to design my books under the Branding by Juls brand, that I was quite restricted in the types of books I could create and covers and things, because I have a set style and know how I set brand personality and things, and I realised it was meant I had to very much keep to that niche or that style of what people expected from me as a designer. So then I thought I could create a second author name, and then that's where I can just do the off the cuff or the things that's a bit cheeky that I wouldn't get away with as a professional designer, or the ones where I get the request for people, can you design this for me, which in my head I thought that doesn't fit with my brand. That's not something Branding by Juls would produce. But however, Jocs Press, and so Jocs Press came about. It's a kind of nickname in the family. I've got it on my number plate that my husband got me as a gift, and it's the initials of our family initials. So the B, O, C, the S are all family initials, and it just links Jocs, obviously Scottish and things, and then I put the wee owl in the logo just because. Well, a few ideas. Owl's my favourite animal after dogs and cats, but basically love animals. Which you'll find actually Jocs Press, it's mostly animals on the designs, and their owls are wise. Not that I'm wise, but they're linked with books and things as well. So I just thought so many parts of that link. And what's been liberating about Jocs Press is I can create anything in any genre, any niche, and it doesn't have anything to do with my other business. Yeah. So what I decided then, actually I decided to do the fairs for a bit of market research, because I quickly found that what is my taste is not everyone else's taste. Sure. And I was surprised at some of the books that were selling better than others, ones that I thought would be an absolute, people love this book, never sold. And then ones that I'd just done, I don't know why, but just created something different, or a colour that I don't even like was the ones that sold. So I thought, right, and then of course I didn't, a bit naively, you just think, I'll do a few fairs, it's not that much of a table, but then you have to get your tablecloth and your display and buy in your books, and that's a good thing. If you order your author copies, you can now get them quite cheaply, and so it's not a huge cost, but there is still a cost. And also you have to find the right fairs. So I had some fairs where they were amazing and I did great, other fairs where there was no footfall, so you kind of have to. I then started getting fussy with what fairs that I was asked to do or select to do, but I found weirdly, which is the good thing about the books, some people didn't have a sale all day and were complaining. I had a brilliant day because people love stationery, people love a notebook. So and a lot of the fairs are a lot of the same things. I'm not talking down, but it's like, they see them at every fair. They see them at every. They're not distinguished. They know they can go to a fair next week and find the same products. Whereas people go, oh, not seen this. And the minute you say, I design them, I create them, they're like, oh, they're not bought off a shelf. No, I designed them. All of a sudden, you've captured their attention, and they're a bit more appreciative. And one of the things I'd always say is, please pick the books up, please flick through, because the minute they did that, I would know they would then see the detail inside. And I actually took my husband with me, and he was a great salesman for me because I'm not great at sales thing. And it was actually, ironically, a way for us to actually get some time together, because we have never get any time together. So it'd be like a wee day trip now, go out and he's keep me supplied with tea. And it was really good for me to see what sold and what didn't, and what ones people constantly went to, and what sold first. And the ones with the cats and dogs on them always sold out. Always. Now,
and that's the thing about a niche. I always say, you know, people are like, oh, how do you pick a niche? I'm thinking, start with yourself and what you love, and there's sometimes an intersection in there. So it's like, whether it's a cat or a dog, or a particular type of cat or dog, and something else you like, or particular bold colours or a style, that's what attracts people in. And as you say, every single time, people will always be drawn to that, because there are animal lovers everywhere.
yes.
Isn't it? So given your experience with the fairs, so you've got to order your author copies, which we know takes a little bit of time for them to come through, so there's a wee bit of snail mail there. Obviously you're trying to work out how many you need to order of each, I'm assuming, which you're not going to know what you don't know, because you don't know what's going to happen at the fair. With all of that in mind, would you do fairs again?
Yes, I think, though, I would choose my fairs more carefully. I think obviously it was my first year, and I'm just literally beginning, so, and I left it quite late, so I was just finding places that had availability. But I did get, I think the secret is going to the hotels, the ones that have quite known fairs, because they generally have a higher clientele, footfall, they're established. You're taking off their established fair's reputation to go. Because we would find it was weird, like one week we found it was mostly notebooks we sold and hardly any planners, but then the following week it was mostly planners that I sold and hardly any notebooks, so I could never quite figure out. But I then quickly realised which ones sold best, and then I would quickly go in, change the price on Amazon to reduce it, to then order the Prime delivery to have them in time for the following week. You have your work friends, so you could run out and stuff, because you're frightened of ordering too much, but at the same time you want your display to look full. So no, I'd say it was a success, and it gave me so much feedback, and then people gave me ideas. Oh, do you have something on this, or do you have something on that, dinosaurs or whatever, or space, and I'd never have thought of, and I'm like, right, okay. So it gave me ideas for other books as well, just by talking to people.
That's gold dust. It's back to the point. Ask people what they want. So create what you love, create and test some stuff, but ask the questions, and then they tell you, and then it's easy. Then you're making what people are looking for already. And I assume then that you've been able to say, well, look, if there's nothing here today, or you choose not to buy anything, just hop over to find me on Amazon, and you can buy my books there as well.
Yes, because again, I just printed out a simple card, and actually it gives you a bit of kudos if you say, actually, take my leaflet away, you can buy my books on Amazon. They go, oh, can you? And it's almost as if, oh, they're a proper business now. And it gives you that kind of trust factor as well, which is good. But I actually had a couple of people, I created a planner for a equestrian lady, and it's because, she's never been able to find a planner that suits her. And she'd say, even something simple as she wanted the Saturday and Sunday to have half a page each, and the weekdays smaller, whereas every planner she would find it was opposite around, because that's when she'd done her shows and things, and she was very specific about a few pages she required to kind of monitor our horses and the shows and things they did. So I created that. I was quite happy to create that for her, and she ended up buying like a dozen copies for everyone that works in there. So I was quite happy to do it just for that. But I've sold a few more of it, because obviously then it's available for anyone to buy, and you're quite surprised. Sometimes you get like a random somebody in Germany or somebody in France buying one of your books, and you're thinking, how did they even find it?
Yeah, and that's the kind of joy of really good keywords and finding those niches, like an equestrian thing, because if you're not into horses, your brain doesn't go there automatically. But I've set up a little post in the group, that we talk about themes and different ideas, and that's the idea, is to try and generate those niches for you. And just speaking to people, we don't all like the same things. And you're absolutely right. When someday, I think I sold something in Japan and it was really random. I'm like, why? It's not even in Japanese, but clearly with the market, and it tells you something, it gives you information about something. So you've set up Jocs Press, you've done the fairs, and I know you haven't made any books recently. Was that a good choice to set up a different kind of, almost like a different business for those books that fell out with your traditional business? Did that help?
It does. It helps me separate the two, because sometimes when I get an idea, my first thought is, am I going to publish this under my branding name, or am I going to publish this under my Jocs Press name? Sure. And it helps me distinguish the two. And I'm being very selective of what I do under the Branding by Juls name. I only want it to be relevant to design or branding now, or the notebooks are created in my brand colours. Yeah. So there's very much a niche, and I only show on my website, my Branding by Juls website, those notebooks, but at the bottom I do have like a wee link, like I do have another range on this other page, because that's the website that has all the traffic now. So
little backlinks there.
Yeah, and Pinterest has been great for getting more awareness, because you can link to Amazon or your website. And sometimes what I find is people go on my website to look at the notebooks, but then they start having a nosy at the rest of my site. So it's been just a driver of traffic to get your name out there, which is good.
That's a good reminder for me, because I need to get back onto Pinterest. I had kind of let it slide, from personal point of view recently. But the one board that always does well is, obviously, we showcase everybody's books on there, and it's the one board that does tremendously well from a traffic point of view, from a people seeing ideas, and just just even getting branded books as a course out there, but also kind of that little boost for people's books. So what would be your top tips? So for anybody new who's joined a community or just done the DIY kind of workshop, and they're not quite sure where to start from, marketing or telling people or trying to get sales for the books, what would be your top tips for that?
I think my top tips are, if they're a business, absolutely promote it on their social channels. I haven't recently promoted them enough, and I should promote them more, because you need to remember, not everyone sees that one post. You might think, oh, I've posted about this week, I can't do it again. Not everyone's seen that post. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. So that's 3 different avenues I can be advertising the books on different days. But also every now and again, especially when I created the Christmas planners, I promoted them quite a lot on my personal Facebook, and I don't do it at all really with my branding work. But the stationery is a bit more accessible, and more people like stationery. Not everyone's interested in branding unless they have a business, but most people like a book. So don't be shy about saying, I've created these books, now go and have a wee nosy. And I've been quite surprised. I forget who's on my friends list on Facebook. That can be the most remote connection. Like somebody went to school with pal now, and then they've ended up buying a book from me. And posting about it, a friend of a friend of a friend has bought books. So don't be shy about saying that you're doing this thing, because you'll be surprised at who actually will be interested, or just think, oh, that's perfect for such and such. The good thing about my books at Christmas time is they were stocking fillers. People were fed up with the usual stuff, so they're like, that I'm going to get this as a wee present, or teachers' gifts. I sold so many at a fair that were for teachers' gifts now, so people want something different, and a nice notebook is that.
So top tip is, don't be shy about telling people. And there's always people who are watching and lurking, who are looking for gifts, who are looking for a gift for themselves, or as you say, stocking fillers, or a wee something for somebody else, and it's really accessible for them. Brilliant. So don't hesitate to keep posting up your books. Obviously, we would love it all to run from keywords on Amazon, and that will happen. You know, your books will be found organically if you've got really strong keywords and you're in particular niches. But there's nothing to stop you posting up a book and saying, you know, what a great gift for somebody, and it sparks the imagination again.
I have found keywords I think I need to still master. That's my development thing. It's a learning curve. I have got better, the keywords. My problem is I'm impatient to get the book published, to actually spend the time researching the keywords part. Yeah. So, and I know I should go back into them and do the ones I've got published better. Yeah. I think most of my sales have not came from being organically found on Amazon. They have been from my network. So that's why it's even more important to start building up that name, because once it starts to sell, yes, it gets boosted in the algorithm and then more people find it. But you have to do the selling part. They're not going to sell themselves. You can't expect to publish it on Amazon and think I'm going to get sales. That doesn't happen. You then have to do the work afterwards to promote them.
Yeah, you have to find a balance between the two, because my experience is completely different. I hardly market, and because I do this, the keyword research is a big chunk of what I do, right, to make sure that it does get found. So that's the thing. It's every way works, and it's how to just get the ball rolling, because the two feed off one another. The more it shows up in Amazon, the more you can market. The more you market, the more it'll show up in Amazon. So I think they work really well hand in hand.
And I think it depends how your own brain works. That's what I struggle with. Keywords and all that kind of stuff isn't my strength. So that takes me a long time to learn and understand. Whereas I know that's very much your strength and that's what you're good at. And I know it requires research by me. And I think also probably as well, because I'm doing my other business, I don't have the time to invest in the research to figure out the right keywords. So I'm looking to do it quickly and get it out there. And I always tell myself, I'll go back and do it. I never do. So, yeah. But however, when I am doing when I'm publishing the ones that are my proper books, I will be researching and I will be doing my keywords. I will not just be blasé publishing them up there. I think it's because I wanted to just test the market, get them out, and it's fun. Yeah. So
I think that's it. There's a balance to be struck between the two. So it's given me an idea. Maybe in our community, I'll give a wee once a month reminder post to say, have you reviewed your keywords, people?
Yes, I think it's good because that'll be me.
Yeah, because I do it as a matter of course, because if you've created a book and you do keywords, some of those keywords will change, but some of those you can add to as you learn. You know, you maybe pick up more about what that niche is about, and you think, oh crikey, that's a term I've never heard. Let me go in and add that to the keywords if people are searching for it. And that again is the beauty of it. You can change your interior, you can go back in and tweak these things and just test all the time. So if somebody new wanted to join Branded Books, and I know you've been wonderful in recommending it and bringing in a crowd of fellow stationery addicts, if they knew nothing about it, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that it is one of the only ways I've found, and it sounds cliche, but it's not, completely no risk on your part apart from your time, to potentially earn money long after you have completed the work on it. Now it's amazing now, and it's, if you're creative at all, and I don't mean this as a designer, as you say, most people on your branded book course are not designers. I think I'm probably one of the very few, but it is a way to get a bit of a creative outlet, and it's a bit of pride in how it's amazing, the feeling, the buzz, as you say, it gives you to like do a research on Amazon and see one of your books on there, and how it's just lovely feeling. And you just, I'm on Amazon, yes, I'm on there, and it's
I'm
just
selling internationally.
Global bestseller, number one my niche for one day.
That happened.
Yeah, and it's something you can do. Like me, I'm very introverted. I like being in my office, and it's something I can do in front of my computer, and I don't have to talk to people to sell it in the house, so I can just post the designs. So it suits my personality down to a T, and I think that's what I enjoy most about it. Yeah.
love that. So Jules, thank you so much for giving me your time today. Where can people find you and go and look at your gorgeous branding business?
I think 99% of my time is spent on Instagram. So that's probably the bit where I post most often. So branding by Juls, and the Juls doesn't have an E, it's just Juls. That's again, just because I have to be different. And my other account is Jocs Press, and it's Jocs Press, and you can see my designs on there.
Perfect. Please go and check out Jules. She's awesome, and as I say, I've loved having her in the community over the last kind of 10 months. It's been pretty inspirational, and as a non-creative, it's certainly kept me going and given me some ideas. So yeah, if you want to check out branded books, you can hop over to straighttalkingginger.com, hop over into the shop. You can have a little nosy around there. Some of the books are in there that I've created that are don't even come close to the beauty that Jules has created, but also you can check out branded books from there. So thanks guys for listening. See you next time.
Thank you.